Okay, so this little quarter sheet that I'm giving you guys goes over all of the polyatomic ions that we're going to use in this section. These are special, okay? And because they're special, they have, thank you, they have special names and they have special properties. So if you were to see HSO4, that's what we call bisulfate. And they put up here in the top right what we've been putting when we do our crisscross applesauce method. They put that -1 up there. So that means that it's trying to gain 1 electron. It's looking for an electron. Or the ones that say a +1, like ammonium up here, it's trying to lose 1 electron. It has an extra electron, okay? So when we do these problems then, okay, right here, you're going to want to look at this sheet, and if you notice that it contains a polyatomic ion, which all of these should, that means that we're going to use that reference sheet to help name them. So like this first one, it contains NO3, right? NO3 is one of our polyatomic ions. It's right here. It's nitrate. So when we name this then, Ba stands for what? It's not beryllium, it's something else. Find it on the periodic table. What is it? It's barium. Good. So this one's going to be named barium, and then for the second one, this back half of it, NO3 is, what did we say it was? It's nitrate. So this is going to be barium nitrate. Okay, yeah, it's barium is B-A-R-I-U-M, barium. And so because this ends in ATE, okay, it means that it's still an ion, but it's a polyatomic ion. If you notice, all of these polyatomic ions end in, for the most part, except for ammonium, they end in ITE, IDE, ATE, ITE. They all end like that. Okay, so we're not doing all of the ides anymore, but they're going to end in 3 vowels, basically. Okay, or sorry, a vowel, a consonant, a vowel, right? Okay, this next one, NH4, that's one of the polyatomic ions listed. NH4 is what? Is that ammonium? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to put ammonium as our first word. Ammonium, based on what it has right here. And then O stands for oxygen. Okay, but because this is a polyatomic ion, or because it's a ionic, we're going to end with what? IDE. So we're going to say oxide still. So this is ammonium oxide. Thank you for helping me with my words. Okay. Okay, next one. Na2SO4. What is the polyatomic part of that? What part of this occurs over here? The SO4, right? That's the polyatomic part. So we're still going to put Na as sodium. But for the SO4, we're going to look over here and see what SO4 is. Sulfate. It's sulfate. Good. Thank you. You guys see how this is going now? Okay. I'm going to keep going, but if you know what you're doing, feel free to work on without me and ignore me, and then just check it later, okay? So next one, calcium, and then PO4. I think PO4 is going to be our polyatomic ion. Anytime you see something in parentheses, it's probably the polyatomic part of it. So PO4 is right here. That's phosphate, right? So that's going to be this one. And Ca is still calcium. So it's just going to be calcium phosphate. I think phosphate, yeah. I forgot the H. Phosphate. Okay, there we go. And then the last one is Mg is magnesium, right? Yeah. Awesome. And then CO3 is what? Carbonate. Yeah, it's right here. Carbonate. Good. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay. It's a little easier to go from that than it is for us to figure out the chemical formula, because we're still going to do that crisscross applesauce stuff like what we did before. And that's where this chemistry reference sheet comes in handy, because in the top right, it tells you if it's trying to gain an electron or if it's trying to lose an electron and how many. Okay, so when you get to the bottom then, let me scooch this down. I should have probably just scooched the paper instead of trying to scooch the iPad. We're learning. Okay. When you get to the bottom, okay, calcium, that's C. What column is that? Or no, that's not C. What is it? CA. It's CA, thank you. What column is that in on the periodic table? 2. It's in column 2. So that means it has 2 valence electrons it's trying to get rid of. Okay. Or you could put, they put the pluses. I don't care if you put the pluses or not, but. Okay, it has 2 valence electrons it's trying to get rid of. Sulfate. SO4, you said? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's right here. SO4. And I'm gonna put that in parentheses to remind me that that's all together. And what is it trying to gain or lose? How many valence electrons? It's got a -2 up here. So that means it's trying to lose, or it's trying to gain 2 electrons, I'm sorry. That's trying to gain 2 electrons, right? That means it's in column, if it were in a column, it would be column 16, but it's not because it's multiple elements put together. Okay, so then we do our crisscross applesauce thing, and again, they're starting off with one of the funky ones, right? Because we're gonna have 2s for both of them. This 2 goes down here, this 2 goes down here. So we'll end up with Ca2, SO4, but because, with a 2, but because that has a 2 in both of them, remember those can sort of reduce away. Okay, so that, thank you. That just turns into CaSO4. And a lot of times people don't write the parentheses then once there's no need for them. I still like to, because it reminds me that that's a polyatomic ion that it contains, but you'll notice like a lot of them don't write the parentheses, okay? Okay, let's do the second one that's not as funky. Okay, second one is calcium sulfide. So calcium is still Ca, and it still has a +2 up here. It has 2 extra valence electrons it's trying to get rid of. And then sulfide, where is that at over here? Do they not have sulfide? No. Oh, well, duh. That's because it's normal, right? Right, it's just sulfur, yeah. It's not a polyatomic, it's just a regular one. Again, so the second one's tricky as well because it's normal. It's sulfur, right? And where is sulfur on the periodic table? 16, which means it's trying to gain 2 electrons. Okay, and when you crisscross those, this one's funky as well. It's gonna be Ca2S2, but same process, since they're both the same, those can just become reduced to 1s. So I'm running out of space here. I need to write smaller, sorry you guys. So this is just CaS. Okay, number 3 is normal then, I promise. Let's do number 3 and hope that things make more sense. Okay, number 3, potassium. What's the symbol for potassium? K. K, good. And what column is that in? 1. Okay, so that means it has 1 valence electron it's trying to get rid of. Okay, phosphate, that ends in ATE. That means it's a special one. Good, that's PO4. Okay, so I'm gonna put that as PO4. And it says that that has a -3 up top. Okay, so when we crisscross those, the -3 will come down here, right? So that'll be K3. And then behind the PO4, that's supposed to be a P, there should be a 1. But we know we can make 1 silent. And when the 1 goes silent, the parentheses aren't really necessary anymore either. So you could just do K3PO4 because the 1 just goes away. I'm trying to scooch that over so it's not. There you go. Okay, you guys getting these done? Okay, I'm gonna let you guys work through the next two while I get people on track.